يرضعن أولادهن حولين كاملين لمن أراد أن يتم الرضاعة وعلى المولود له رزقهن وكسوتهن بالمعروف لا تكلف نفس إلا وسعها لا تضار والدة بولدها ولا مولود له بولده وعلى الوارث مثل ذلك فإن أرادا فصالا عن تراض منهما وتشاور فلا جناح عليهما وإن أردتم أن تسترضعوا أولادكم فلا جناح عليكم إذا سلمتم ما آتيتم بالمعروف واتقوا الله واعلموا أن الله بما تعملون بصير صدق الله العظيم وبلغنا رسوله النبي الكريم ونحن على ذلك من الشاهدين والشاكرين والحمد لله رب العالمين. So in the previous ayat, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us various rules about divorce, talaq and separation. In this one ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us rulings about children, infants, those children who depend on their mother for their nurture. And then the ayat that follow, they will be about again rulings of divorce and completion of the mandatory post-divorce waiting period for women. والوالدات يرضعن أولادهن حولين كاملين. والوالدات يرضعن أولادهن حولين كاملين. Mothers should suckle their children for 2 full years. لمن أراد أن يتم الرضاعة. Those who intend to complete this period of suckling. وعلى المولود له رزقهن وكسوتهن بالمعروف. It is the obligation of the one to whom the child belongs that he provides food and clothing for them, that means the mothers, with fairness, بالمعروف. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is referring to the father as al-mawlud lah. At another place in the Quran, at various other places in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has used the word walid for father. But here the Hazrat Mufassirin have written that mawlud lah, basically Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is referring to this because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put the primary responsibility of providing for their children and for their women upon men. And it may feel like a burden to the man that why should I be the only one who's providing for the family, and why should I be the one who's providing for the children while the children belong to both parents. So here Hazrat Mufassirin have noted a fine point that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, referring to the father as mawlud lah. You are the one after whom the child is going to be referred. You are the one who after whom, and the primary right of naming the child lies with the father as well. So you are the one who has been given so many preferences. So if the responsibility has been placed on you, it shouldn't be a burden because you are the one whose progeny that child is going to carry forward. So the primary responsibility lies upon the father. The part of responsibility of the mother is that she is required, if there is no biological excuse, she is required to provide for their children, for her children, unless there is a valid biological excuse. And in these ayat, in all ayat of the Quran, but in these ayat very particularly and very understandably so, Quran is a ilhami book, a book that consists of the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No man, no matter how knowledgeable, even at that time, even if they were really knowledgeable, they could give these rulings because they are 100% perfect in in terms of biological needs of both the mother and the child. Even today, medically, it is understood and it is well recognized that 2 years is the period which is the most appropriate for a child to derive their nourishment from their mother. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that mothers will feed their children hawlaini kamilain, 2 complete years. Liman arada an yutimma ar-radha'a. And this is for those parents who mutually agree to complete this duration. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is clarifying this in the next, giving more detailed explanation. But here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has set the basic responsibility that upon the mother, the responsibility is to feed the child, and to feed the mother and to provide for clothing and food of the mother is the responsibility of the father. وَعَلَى الْمَوْلُودِ لَهُ رِزْقُهُنَّ وَكِسْوَتُهُنَّ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ. Now in Bil-Ma'ruf, Hazrat Mufassirin, Hazrat Fuqaha have derived that it has to be according to the tradition, what the father is providing the mother. If they are both poor, then the provision that he is going to provide is going to be of that standard. If they are both rich and well-to-do, then it is not permissible for the father to provide and keep his wife in a state which is a poor state. So he has to provide according to their financial status. This is agreed upon among the ulama. There is further detail to this, but inshallah that's not really required at this time. Those people who are doing advanced studies of tafsir and fiqh, they can go deeper into it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is further saying, La tukallafu nafsun illa wus'aha. And this is a general rule that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said at multiple places in the Quran, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not put a burden on any human or any creation beyond their capacity, beyond their ability to lift. So La tukallafu nafsun illa wus'aha. Here as well Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying we are not putting any burden neither upon the father nor upon the mother that is beyond their capacity. لا تضار والدة بولدها ولا مولود له بولده. So there will not be any harm, they will not be made to suffer. لا تضار, they will not be made to suffer. والدة بولدها ولا مولود له بولده. Neither the mother nor the father, they will be made to suffer on account of the child. So what is the suffering of the mother? For example, biologically she is not able to provide nourishment for their child, and the father using her emotional side because he is, or that child is her son as well, constantly forcing her. It is wajib upon mothers to feed their children for 2 years, but upon condition that they are biologically able to do so. If they are not biologically able to do so, then a father cannot technically force a mother to feed their child for 2 years. Similarly, how could the man be made to suffer in this regard? That the woman is fully capable, but because of certain dispute among them, because of certain harsh relationships between them, she is using this point and abusing and exploiting the father, that he is a parent as well. So at the end of the day, he is going to arrange for the feeding, the nourishment of his child. So she uses that point and exploits the father and makes her to arrange for another means of nourishment for their child by denying the child their right, his right. So both of these situations are not permissible. The child, it is a right of that child to be fed for 2 full years by the mother, preferably by the biological mother, preferably if conditions permit. But nobody is going to be caused harm because of this. وَعَلَى الْوَارِثِ مِثْلُ ذَلِكَ. If the father dies, then the people who will inherit from that man, it becomes their responsibility to take care of the infant who needs suckling, the infant who needs nourishment from their mother, and to provide for the mother. It becomes their responsibility. The warasa, the people who inherit. One thing also that is noted here is that according to Imam Azam Abu Hanifa, even for 2.5 years, 30 months, if a mother chooses to feed their child, although the preferable amount of time is duration is 2 years, but even if she chooses to go beyond those 2 years up to a maximum of 2.5 years, it is still somewhat permissible. It is not preferable. but it is somewhat permissible if the mother continues to feed all the legal aspects which were explained, that her provision is to be provided, and if she all those things, they will still hold for a maximum of up to 30 months. Beyond 30 months, muttafaqun alayhi, it is impermissible and haram for a mother to feed their child. فإن أرادا فصالا عن تراض منهما وتشاور فلا جناح عليهما. Now, if they want to wean with mutual consent and consultation, فلا جناح عليهما, there is no sin on them. So if the mother and the father feel that it is better for their child, and this has to be mutual, that it is better for their child to wean off before the completion of this duration, it is permissible, there is no sin on them. But it has to be with a mutual understanding, and it has to be in the interest of the child. Not in the interest of the mother, not in the interest of the father, but in the interest of the child. Then there is no sin, otherwise they will be sinners. وَإِنْ أَرَدْتُمْ أَن تَسْتَرْضِعُوا أَوْلَادَكُمْ فَلَا جُنَاحَ عَلَيْكُمْ إِذَا سَلَّمْتُمْ مَا آتَيْتُمْ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ. And if you want to get your children suckled by a wet nurse, or someone other than her biological mother, there is no sin on you when you pay off what you are to give to her with fairness. So another woman can be used, but again, the ruling of the Sharia again is that if the father is arranging and they are mutually agreeing that another woman should be used to feed their child, and the child for some reason does not take the feed from that mother, from that nurse, or does not adapt to her at all in that way, then again it becomes the responsibility of the mother that she has to feed, and again the responsibility of feeding the mother so as to provide for the child's mother becomes the responsibility of the father. And if you are making a contract with some other woman who's a wet nurse, then she has to be given everything with fairness. Hazrat Hussein have written that it should be decided beforehand that what she will be given, preferably written, and then at the time after the contract is complete, she should be paid in full. And fear Allah and be assured that Allah, وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ وَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّ اللَّهَ بِمَا تَعْمَلُونَ بَصِيرٌ. Fear Allah and be assured that Allah is watchful of what you do. So again, like we explained last week, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, after giving commands that are new to people, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tries to convince them with telling them that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows what you are doing. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is fully aware of what's going on. So if you even hide from the world, from the public, and do not fulfill the orders for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will know. One masala that should be understood here is that what happens if the child is still feeding and the mother and father divorce? The responsibility of provision of the mother till the iddat is complete, till the necessary waiting period post divorce is complete, the responsibility of feeding and providing for that woman still remains on the husband. So by virtue of completing that responsibility, he will also be completing the responsibility of feeding the child. So the mother is being provided for by the husband, and the mother is feeding the child. But what if the iddat is complete and the child's nursing still needs to continue? Then the mother will feed the child, and as if the husband has contracted a lady to feed his child, he will be paying that original mother of the child for feeding the child. And this has to be again bil ma'ruf. Whatever is the tradition, the mother at that point cannot exploit this situation and ask the father of that child to pay more than what is established, what is the norm. And the father cannot, considering that she's the original mother and she will feed no matter what because of her emotional side, can pay her less than what is established. So if you look deeper into the meanings of the ayat of the Quran, it becomes very apparent that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is definitely the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because such wisdom and such balance and keeping sense of such biological needs of everyone, the father in biological, emotional, psychological needs of everyone involved, it is only something that only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can do. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, wassalatu wassalamu ala sayyidil mursaleen. ربنا ظلمنا انفسنا وان لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين رب اغفر وارحم وانت خير الراحمين اللهم اجعلنا من اهل القران الذي اهلك وخاصتك صلى الله تعالى على خير خلقه سيدنا ومولانا محمد وعلى اله وصحبه اجمعين امين.